All right, we're staying on top of that breaking news we first brought to you at the top of the hour. A split verdict in the federal mortgage fraud trial of former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. She was found guilty of lying on her mortgage application, not guilty on another count of mortgage fraud. Jurors deliberated for roughly 8 hours. She faces up to 30 years in today's conviction, but is not expected to get that kind of a sentence.
Of course, we're joined once again by WJZ investigative reporter Mike Hilgren. And Mike, you have covered this story from the very beginning, and certainly there are plenty more steps for the former City State's Attorney before sentencing. But take us back to when this verdict was read in the courtroom. What was her reaction? You gave some pretty dramatic information earlier.
Vic, she had to be steadied in court. It appeared that she was crying. I heard gasps from the courtroom. She left here surrounded by her supporters, and you just saw that live just a few minutes ago on WJZ. She made no comment leaving court, and she says she intends to appeal her perjury conviction. That's what she told jurors. It remains to be seen whether she will appeal this conviction. Her lawyer had no comment leaving court, and we have yet to hear from prosecutors about their victory. Again, this case has gone on for 2 years, and jurors believe she lied about a letter that she wrote to her lender. It was a gift letter. She said that she got $5,000 from her ex-husband to help her close on her condo in Longboat Key. Jurors did not buy that. However, they did find her not guilty of mortgage fraud-related charges related to her other property near Walt Disney World. So it's a small victory for her, but still, 2 convictions now, this mortgage fraud count and then the perjury count in November. And we're still waiting on a statement from prosecutors and a sentencing date in this case.
So, Mike, as you just mentioned, Mosby's ex-husband, he played a major role in her defense. He basically blamed himself for almost everything she was being charged with. Do you think his testimony swayed the jury? Is that why you think she got off that one count?
It probably did. I mean, he was very emotional. He talked about how they met in college, how they were sweethearts, how their marriage started to fall apart, and how he'd lied to her about their financial situation. So you're right. He put the blame on himself, and it was emotional testimony that defense attorneys referenced in their closing argument, and it probably saved her from that other conviction. Still, jurors tracked the money because prosecutors presented them with charts showing where the money going out of her bank account and into Nick Mosby's bank account for that $5,000 gift letter. And that's what got her in this case, because they had a forensic accountant from the FBI go through all of her bank accounts. And ultimately, that tracking of the money is what convinced jurors that she was guilty of that one count of mortgage fraud.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. And now for some legal perspective, we're joined by Andrew Alperstein. He is a criminal defense attorney. Thank you for joining us, Andrew. So what's your impression on this verdict?
Well, Mike pointed out that there was a not guilty on one of the 2 counts. Sometimes juries split. We don't know. We can only guess in terms of what went on in that jury room. But it's not a good day. It's a sad day for Marilyn Mosby. She's now been convicted of 2 separate, unrelated federal criminal felonies. I'm not sure that the result would matter because this judge, just on this count, can sentence her up to 30 years. Of course, she's not going to get sentenced that much, so the maximum doesn't matter as much. But the point is, if she had one more conviction on a second property, I'm not sure how much of a difference that would make. I mean, what the jury has found beyond a reasonable doubt is that they didn't believe her. She testified to one thing. The jury found the exact opposite beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecutor is going to argue at sentencing that she was found to have lied beyond a reasonable doubt, not only in the perjury case, in this mortgage fraud case count, but then again in her testimony. So you have the conduct and the testimony. They'll argue for an enhanced sentence in light of that. It's not a good situation for her.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Marilyn Mosby's husband. Former husband, Nick Mosby. He, of course, appeared in this case and basically blamed himself for her situation. Based upon his own testimony, is it likely that he could face any charges sometime in the near future?
Well, Vic, that's a great question. We don't know everything that the government knows, but we can presume that if they had evidence to charge him, they would have charged him before. In other words, another way your question could be asked is, because he testified and helped her, does that make the government, if they disbelieved him, more likely to charge, City Council President Mosby? I think if they had evidence, they would have charged it. I don't know what they'll do. I know that they'll probably wait, if they were going to charge him, till after an election cycle ends, if he's a candidate, because that causes other issues. But I just don't think we can know that right now.
All right, thank you for joining us, Andrew. As you said, a very sad day for former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. Thank you for joining us again. She was found not guilty on count 1, but found guilty on count 2 in her federal mortgage fraud trial. Stay with WJZ and CBS News Baltimore. We will continue to bring you updates on this case.